Great news. We want to hear from you. We want your questions, your thoughts, all of that good stuff. And you can email us now at podcast@mancity.com.
Looks a bit like me. Long feet.
Great finish from Quinn.
I'd love to do that. Looks fun.
I could do a job in that.
No, stop. Yeah, I think if this happened today, it would be maybe one of the most viral things ever.
The unbeatable official Manchester City podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the official Manchester City podcast. Today, we're bringing you something a little different, an exclusive, unedited interview from the CityStories series on City Plus. We're heading back to 1991. City, led by player-manager Peter Reid, faced Derby County at Main Road, with Derby fighting for survival. Niall Quinn put us ahead with a brilliant left-footed finish, but when Dean Saunders went down under a challenge from Tony Coton, our number one was shown red, with no substitute goalkeeper available. What happened next became the stuff of City legend. Quinn pulled on the gloves, stepped between the sticks, and pulled off a stunning penalty save. That moment not only helped secure the win, but also played a part in him winning Player of the Year. We sat down with Niall to relive that incredible night, reflect on his time at the club, and hear how he already had some unexpected goalkeeping experience before stepping up.
Hi, I'm Niall Quinn, and I played for Manchester City between 1990 and 1996.
And it's a good cross for Quinn! Quinn is onside. If he can get it down here, there's trouble for Sunderland, who scored! It's in! Now Quinn is saved in!
I played Gaelic football a lot. I played hurling a lot, and I even went to Australia for a 6-week summer tour that I ended up getting 2 contract offers to go and play with Sydney Swans or Melbourne Football Club. So I was in this funny place, making decisions about where I was going. Hurling was probably my first sport. And I think the combination of all those sports, when the opportunity came to go and try it at Arsenal, I really didn't think I was going to get a contract, but I did, and I took it for about a fifth of the money I was offered in Australia, but Australia was a long way from home then. But I kind of came, with I suppose, an outside view in many respects of football. I wasn't just closeted in as a football person for years and years. I'd done all these other things. So when you're asked to go and goal, like I was a couple of times, there was never fear, because I thought, well, this is comfortable. I know what I'm doing here. I've done this before. I've played games where I've used my hands. I know the flight of the ball is good, so I could come for corner kicks and things. And I was big, and I could get in the way. And if I dived, I'd cover the length of the goal nearly. So yeah, maybe I think it did, and it helped more than just becoming a goalkeeper for those who were taking penalties against me. I think it helped me understand, I suppose, how other people think. When you just think about yourself, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. But when you play other sports, I think you're asked to make quick decisions in a different way to football at times. And I think somehow that helps. Storing all that up and understanding, reading things that are about to happen because of the experience of doing it in other sports. I look back and I'm really grateful that I played all those sports, that I didn't get pulled out at 12 and say, right, you're sticking to one. I always say that to parents, let them play everything till they get to a point where they can't, because you pick up so much value. Like, I was 14 years of age playing in a men's hurling team. So I was learning from, 25-year-olds, 23-year-olds. I was tall. I was the goalkeeper as a kid. And we played in a big Dublin final. That was huge for me, to be in a dressing room, to understand how a dressing room works from being in those other sports. I toured Australia playing Aussie rules. I captained an Ireland team who did that. Gaelic football as well. I played for my county in 1983. They won it in 82 and 84, but I played 83, so we didn't win anything. But the overall experience of playing every sport, I would tell every parent, give them as much sport as you can, because it all adds up. Bits latch on that help you wherever you go, and you make that final decision that your sport is, whether that's football, cricket, whatever it is your boy or your girl wants to do. So that day, in my memory, centres around the Player of the Year vote. Because in those days, the fans voted for Player of the Year on a piece of paper after the last home game and put it in a box. And everybody knows, me included, that David White was the best player that season. He was unbelievable, had a great year. But I ended up saving a penalty, and for some reason, all the fans voted for me. And I got Player of the Year out of one moment. Derby needed to win to stay up. We were aware of that, and effectively anybody I meet from Derby now tells them I relegated them because I saved that penalty. I can remember Tony Coton clearly getting worked up and, wanting to attack the referee. I think he threw his gloves at him at one stage. And it was like a lovely moment for me because I'd played Gaelic football. I'd used my hands before. I also got in goal quite a lot in training sessions and did penalties and tried to save penalties from players. So it wasn't such a big deal for me. I kind of knew what I was going to do, felt he was going to play it where he did. Dean Saunders puts the ball down on the spot. And you don't really see it there on the video, but I can clearly remember Adrian Heath trying to put him off by saying, he's going to save this. He saves him all the time. He saves him in training all the time. And I think Dean Saunders had a little bit of a chuckle. And then, of course, he takes his penalty, I guess, right, and it goes out for the corner.
So this to give Derby what they so desperately need. An equaliser from the penalty spot. Saunders takes it and Quinn has saved it. It was a tremendous save from a very agile man who plays all sorts of other sports.
The one thing that just irks me a little bit is the corner kick was taken and I came to the penalty spot and caught it, and I got a bigger roar for that, I think, and that's never. I think it's been cut out of the video. But I just enjoyed myself so much for the rest of the game, and I had a bit of fun. I can remember Roy Bailey, the physio, very serious guy, and really alert. And I remember at one stage going to him, hold my leg on Roy when the ball was up the other end, and he came sprinting down as fast as he could. And he went, what is it? And I just have a little bit of dirt on my shorts there. Can you get it off? And he went, you idiot. And he ran back up the touchline. They were just funny times, in some ways. I don't know why I wasn't nervous. I just took to it. I played Gaelic football, so I had a bit of knowledge of how to handle things. It was like an out-of-body experience for the next 45 minutes, or however long it was, about 60 minutes that I played in goal that day. There was one goal did go in. Mick Harford came in with a header that I wasn't expecting, so I didn't keep a clean sheet.
Harford, it's a goal. Quinn could do nothing about it this time. Manchester City were hoping perhaps to get an offside decision here. They let Harford run on in, but the flag stayed down 2-1.
You'll see Colin Hendry and Steve Redmond, the two centre halves, tried to play the offside initially for Dean Saunders' penalty when Tony had to take him down. I can remember Peter Reid used to go mad when they both put their hands up and go offside, and the player would run through. It happened time and time again. And even if you look at Mick Harford scoring his goal, the two of them are standing there with their hands up again, and Peter Reid didn't like that. No, I always used to think goalkeepers had it easy because they could play till they were about 40 in those days and they didn't run around as much. We'd be doing the big long distance runs and the goalkeeper would be doing shooting practice and stuff, and I always felt, gosh, I should have come back as a goalkeeper. Or if I ever did come back, I'd love to be a goalkeeper. I had an inkling, of angles and how to do things. When I was about 12, I played in goal for a season. But I was raw. Look, of course I was, and I think the jersey is hanging out over my shorts. I didn't look the part at all. I didn't feel nervous about it. It's funny. It was like, oh God, this is good. This is a bit of an adventure. So when people were taking shots on goal or crosses were coming in, I was going, this is great. I'm going to get this. It's funny. It's very hard to explain. I was on a bit of a roll. Anyway, my career was going really well at the time. It was just, to me, it was just a funny thing that happened. And I didn't really understand the significance of it afterwards. My wife, Gillian, didn't come to that game. She was at home, and I came home, and she said, how'd you get on? I went, yeah, we won, and I scored. Oh, great. And I saved a penalty. She went, you what? I went, I know, yeah, it sounds a bit stupid, but I said, I don't believe it. I went, yeah. And she went, oh, right, okay. And of course, it wasn't like the football wasn't covered then the way it is now, so it wasn't as if it was on TV that night that we could that I could verify it. But it was something that just then kind of was locked away in my mind, and it started to resurface there a little while ago. Somebody must have found the footage, and it all comes flooding back. But as I said, Derby County fans have often said to me, "You relegated us by saving that penalty," which I think is true. But other than that, I was shocked. My son showed me how many views had been for it on one of the social media channels. It was, I know, a couple of 100,000 or something. I was going, oh my God, why is that so popular? But I guess now I'm older and I'm 57 now, and I look back, didn't understand it was very significant at all at the time, but kind of now I'm kind of half proud of it. It's nice to look back and talk about it anyway, Some players have had to do it. I remember John O'Shea and Harry Kane. Just recently in non-league, there was a goalkeeper got sent off and one of the players went in and he had a great game and then threw one in the last minute to lose the game. Literally caught it funny. So those kind of things didn't cross my mind that I'd make a mistake. I was just, as far as I was concerned, I got this little bit of giddy time that I'm playing. There's a big crowd there. There's a bit of pressure on me, but I didn't feel it. I just thought, wow, this is lovely. Don't these goalkeepers have it easy? You know, if you look at an outfield player, the amount of runs he has to make, and in those days the goalkeeper just stayed where he was. He didn't even get the ball with his feet. He just had to get it, catch it and kick it. Make a few saves, obviously. But I had the gloves that Tony had thrown at the referee that were picked up and handed to me to use, and somewhere, I think my mother has them somewhere. I kept them anyway. I do have great memories of that time. And I went in goal again up at Sunderland one time, and I'd scored in that match as well. We played Bradford. That was a few years later, and I kept a clean sheet then. But I just found it a pleasure to do it. I didn't think it was an odd thing at all. I just thought I could get away with it, and I did. So I'm grateful now. But looking back now, I'm kind of pretty chuffed that it all happened. I've had a few individual moments. I think my favourite one was scoring against England at Wembley, and I was a Man City player then. Things were going really well for me. I just scored a hat-trick at Crystal Palace, which was a top-flight hat-trick, which was lovely at the time too. And that's a great memory for me. Full house at Wembley, playing the old enemy Ireland v England. It was extraordinary. Scored a World Cup goal in 1990. Laid on a goal for Robbie Keane in 2002 World Cup. They were nice moments. This was an unusual moment at City, you know. I ran into Dean Saunders, I think, might have been at a golf tournament or something. And he just went, "We're not talking about that. That's the end of it." So that was it. I haven't spoken to him about it at all. I still feel that it robbed David White of his Player of the Year trophy, but I hope Whitey's forgiven me. The goal I liked the most from possibly my career or my time was, you know, we played Luton away when Luton had that horrible plastic pitch and it was really hard and we were down near the bottom of the league. And I scored a volley from outside the box. Now, I know you don't believe me and you probably won't have the video evidence, but that was a kind of a moment for me that, God, if I can score a goal like that, because I'd never scored one like that before. And again, it just brings new confidence into the whole thing. And I was able to kick on from there. But Ian Brightwell played a ball over his head to me. And I was running onto it. I was about 25 yards out, I think. And I said, go on, go for it for the crack. And it flew into the top corner.
The intern looks for Quinn, and Quinn's header is on there. And a good opportunity for Brightwell. Across the face it comes, and a brilliant driving from Quinn. What an equaliser! Niall Quinn, that's all of 23 yards. He connected superbly. He won the original aerial challenge. Well found from Brightwell, and Chamberlain no chance from the resulting shot. Just outside, and a top corner strike.
So that's kind of the special one in my mind. But there were others. I can remember, I think it was for Georgie Kincladze's first goal ever. I flicked one with my heel that looked to be going out of play, and so for about 6 months afterwards, the fans started calling me Quininho. So that was another moment.
Kincladze, Quinn. Oh, that's a brilliant touch. Kincladze, that's a brilliant goal. It's Georgie Kincladze's first for Manchester City. It's come with 5 minutes left to play. Niall Quinn catching the spirit of Kincladze's skills. And Kincladze repaying him with a fine finish. It's 1-0 at last.
There were some really good moments. My time at Man City, under Howard Kendall, especially at the start, he gave me all that confidence. Peter Reid then afterwards. I would, you know, I have a real sort of bit of pain when I tell you that I was so pleased to score 2 goals in a derby, only for Manchester United to come back and score 3 against me, Roy Keane scoring a late winner. So that took away that as a good memory, you know. And I used to do all right against Michael. I used to bash into him whenever I could. We used to get booked together all the time. But he was a top goalkeeper, and to get one against him was always special too. Some wonderful times, you know, wearing the blue shirt. The Brother, do you remember the Brother sewing machines? Was the sponsor. Tony Book, Glimpardo, brilliant people to be around. Colin Bell was at the club. Just great time. And in my education as a footballer, it brought me to a new level being at Manchester City and dealing with the most brilliant people, you know. We had great fun, you know. The coach journeys were brilliant. I can remember so many good times with the players, and Howard Kendall, if we got a result, we'd be coming home on a Saturday and he'd say to Derek, the bus driver, "Derek, find a Thresher's off licence." And Derek could pull up with an off licence, and Derek could come out with bottles of beer for everybody to have on the bus on the way home. And that's if you got a result, They're the special times. I don't really remember the incidents in matches as much as the times we had and the togetherness, and when things were going well, of course you try and erase the memory of bad times. But when things were going well, and I can remember my career took off here at Man City, it was the best feeling in the world. I was fighting for a career at Arsenal, and I was old with injuries fighting a career at Sunderland, but I had my best run. My best confidence levels were always here at City in those first 2 or 3 years, until I did a cruciate against Sheffield Wednesday at Main Road, which prevented me going to a World Cup as well. But really it stopped what I was doing well for Man City. It took me a long time to get over it. But always grateful. I've even just coming in from the airport, driving up the Parkway, all the memories coming back to the first day. The first day I came, Roy Bailey collected me, the physio, at the airport to go up to the ground to meet the manager and the chairman. And he drove in, and he was a bit of a joker. And he pretended he wasn't looking, and he was going to crash. I was going, "Oh, you're going to crash," but he was an expert at it. He'd leave it to the last second, and he'd stop just in time. And I thought he was a madman, but I found out later he was one of the great guys, and he was more than a physio. He was probably the mental health advisor to all of us. He was that person that you go to with, okay, you have your ankle injury, but whatever else was going wrong in your life, he was a great sort of friend and confidant. But the whole club was like that. It was that. I think that was the difference. I think between my time at Arsenal, the warmth throughout the club at Manchester City. Like even the chairman, Peter Swales, who normally you'd be afraid of the chairman. Like the Arsenal chairman wouldn't even know me, I would have thought at the time, And Peter Swales was different though. He talked, and he had a white Rolls Royce, and he was a funny character, but he was always decent, And I just felt it was a warmer club. I'd come somewhere that I felt more comfortable. Some brilliant times. The heroes of the club, Tony Book in particular, Skip, training in his late 50s, 2-footing you in a training match, have a bit of that, Sharon, he had that Cornwall accent, and he'd come through you from behind. They were great times. And over at Platt Lane, the training ground, and I kind of have to chuckle when I, come here and see the incredible setup, and the structures here are just amazing. And then I think of Platt Lane, where we used to train. There wasn't even dressing rooms when we first trained there. We'd get changed at Main Road, we'd drive over, and there was a wire fence around, and people could see the training, and people shouting things at you, and you're only training, But there was some great times there too, Never forget what Man City did for me.
The unbeatable official Manchester City podcast.
Got a question? Send us an email at podcast@mancity.com.